Hi everyone, welcome back to our continued video series. Recently, we've hosted a handful of webinars for both travel coaches and also for student athletes and parents about recruiting right now. Those are posted on our blog, so if you'd like to see the recordings, feel free to take a look at some of those. From those and from the questions that we've gotten from families, we're going to do another series of videos and posts on the questions that we're getting and on important areas of focus for student athletes looking to advance their recruiting this summer. The topic on this one will be scheduling your exposure for recruiting this summer to be effective. Scheduling for an uncertain summer is incredibly difficult for student athletes and families who are navigating their recruiting process. No one knows what the summer calendar will look like yet, but the only safe bet is that it won't look exactly like the perfectly planned summer of recruiting exposure that you laid out in December and January with your travel program, with your recruiting advisor, with your pitching coach, whatever it is. Um, it's going to be necessary to be flexible and also to be very selective in the events that you target to make sure that they deliver the efficiency necessary in a shortened recruiting cycle. So for student athletes targeting high academic programs, the recruiting process already looks different by nature of the schools that you're targeting. And so you have to make some of these decisions already because it requires specialized exposure and additional considerations when you're evaluating an opportunity. For you, it's not just about getting willy-nilly exposure to whatever schools happen to be at a tournament or a camp or at this or that field, but rather targeting your exposure to focus on the schools that are on your list and also schools that have a similar academic profile to the schools that are already on your list as well. So quite honestly, this is exactly why Head First Honor Roll exists, and why we've had success over the years. Our camps deliver guaranteed exposure to a curated list of high academic schools, giving both student athletes and the recruiting college coaches the efficiency they need to be effective in their recruiting. So the good news and the bad news for high academic student athletes in current times. The good news is that as a high academic student athlete, you are already used to thinking critically about the exposure opportunities in front of you. So needing to do that this summer will be nothing new when you start to think about, is this showcase the right for me to get me in front of the schools that are right for me. The bad news, however, is that refocusing and doubling down on targeting the right events during a potentially shortened recruiting cycle will require even more judicious and potentially more difficult decisions in how you're spending your time and recruiting budget this summer. Making some tough decisions about, am I going to be at this tournament or this showcase or this camp? Those decisions always existed, but there may be more of them and you may need to be more intentional about them given how the recruiting window may look this summer. When we talk about efficiency in exposure, one of the key things that we think about is getting in front of the right schools. Getting efficient exposure in your recruiting is a combination of guaranteeing access to the programs that are already on your list and also growing your list to lookalike schools that could also offer a great college fit in addition to the ones that you already know about. And this is what we mean when we say the right schools. It's more than just the programs you already know about. It's also the schools that have a lot in common with those programs, but that are in a different part of the country or that you might not already have on your radar. Um, the right schools means getting guaranteed exposure to a wide variety of programs from across the Division I to Division III ladder, all focused around a great academic profile and a potential for a great academic fit. This year more than ever, it's going to be really important for student athletes to prioritize the exposure opportunities that put them in front of the right schools so that they can gain efficiency in their recruiting process when they need it most. Already needed this efficiency in the recruiting process as a high academic student athlete, but this summer, with the potential for changes in a shortened cycle, even more important to focus on efficiency and on getting in front of the right schools. Another area to focus on in efficiency in exposure is thinking about which camps offer the right format and the right tools to really make some strides in your recruiting. So to really advance your recruiting, it's also important this summer to focus on opportunities that deliver more than just coaches' eyeballs. Coaches' eyeballs are a really important starting point, obviously, but in a summer when recruiting college coaches are going to need to make decisions more quickly, where they might, previously they might have the chance to see you play 3, 4, 5 times at different tournaments around the country. This year, they might not be able to. They might be making a decision about you after seeing you play only 2 times, but they still need to be comfortable with the decisions that they're making. So these coaches need more complete insights more quickly, which for most programs means having access to your video, as well as access to the data and analytics that they can use to deepen their understanding of your play. So it will be key this summer to prioritize, whenever possible, the opportunities that you have to give coaches a complete look at you as a player beyond simply seeing you on the field through the chain link fence. Data and analytics can help coaches put numbers to what they're seeing on the field so they aren't purely relying on the eye test. Putting data to what they're seeing gives coaches more comfort making recruiting decisions because they have deeper insight into not only who you are now as a player, but also your on field potential and who you're becoming. So if they see you play the outfield and they say, oh, she's really fast, but then they put that against a home to first time that we take at camp, or they believe that you have pop at the plate and then they put that against your batted ball velocity. Each piece of this puzzle gives coaches more insight into what they're seeing and how they can project you as a player. Video is another way to gain efficiency in your recruiting because it can help you scale your recruiting outreach. If during an uncertain summer, there's sure to be a lot of restructuring, changing plans, potentially cancellations. If this summer you're unable to get in front of a specific coach or program, you can always use video as a first step to get your foot in the door and to create some initial interest, as we've talked about on some of our previous content as well. So prioritizing getting good quality video this summer can really help you both over the summer and through the fall and winter as you progress through the recruiting process to be able to put this video in coaches' inboxes to give them a sense of who you are as a player. Another note on video, it can effectively also put you in front of the entire coaching staff at your target program. Ultimately, the recruiting process for a coaching staff it's a collaborative one, and it requires cross-checking and buy-in from the whole staff to make these decisions. There are just too many prospective student athletes to see for it to be the work of a single person. Coaching staffs will want to have as many people as they can out on the recruiting trail so that they're able to maximize the number of players that they're able to see and evaluate. I think this is especially true this summer when they could be facing calendar restrictions as well. It's even more important for programs to leverage their entire coaching staff to see as many players as possible from around the country who might be the right fit athletically and academically for their programs. So if you have video, in addition to the in-person exposure that you target this summer, it can help the coach who saw you play the cross-check game with the rest of the staff. If you come to an honor roll event and meet the recruiting coordinator, the associate head coach, or the head coach, they can then pull up your Next Pro video from camp, which is distributed to all college coaches who attend our camps for free. They can pull that up in the softball office for the entire staff to see and say, here's this girl that I saw at honor roll in California. Let's take a look at the video and see if you people, the other coaches see exactly what I saw when I saw her in person. I hope that this video helps in framing the conversation for families and student athletes around getting the right recruiting exposure this summer. When, again, we believe efficiency is going to be more key than ever, already a really important piece for high academic student athletes, now more important than ever, given the possibility for things looking very different this summer. Stay tuned for the next few videos, which will be coming up. These are going to address some of the most frequently asked questions that we're getting right now from student athletes and parents. So feel free to take a look at some of our webinars and posts that we've done over the last month or so, and stay tuned for some of the next ones. Thank you.